In today's lesson, we're going to be exploring technical vocabulary, which is a key feature of information texts. I've got a starter activity for this lesson, and I'd just like you to have a read through this information about how a frog grows. Are there any problems that you notice? How could we use these to help us? What are they? So hopefully you said headings, subheadings and titles. This is what they are. See if you can put these in the right order. Okay, so here's mine, and hopefully yours looks a little bit like this. It starts off with a title, How do tadpoles change into frogs? After this we have an introduction. That's another key feature of all information texts. After this we have the first heading, which is frog spawn. Frog spawn is the correct first heading because it's the first stage of the life cycle of a frog. Therefore it makes sense that this will go first. After this we've got some information about the frog spawn. Then we've got the next heading, which is tadpole. Underneath the tadpole heading we have some information about the tadpole stage of the life cycle of the frog. Then after this we've got the next heading, which is a tadpole with legs. It makes sense for this to come after the tadpole because this is the next stage after that. We're now on to the main part of the lesson, which is understanding technical words. I'd like you to watch the clip and note down any words that you're unsure of. Don't worry if you don't know the spellings, just have a go and use your phonics as best you can.
At first glance, there's not a whole lot of difference between newts and other salamanders. But typically newts have drier, rougher skin, whereas salamander's skin is usually wet and soft. Newts' larvae also possess true teeth in both their jaws, and their regenerative capability tends to be more extreme than that of other salamanders. The Japanese fire-bellied newt is even capable of regenerating its own eye lenses multiple times throughout its 16-year lifespan. The first newts appear in the fossil record during the late Cretaceous period, likely living their lives in ponds and small bodies of water under the shadows of the dinosaurs. There are roughly 100 species of newt found throughout the world today. They can be found around a large portion of the world, from North America to Europe and North Africa to Asia, including the Middle East. Some species, like the smooth newt, are actually an invasive species in Australia, though their direct impacts there are uncertain at this point. Many species of newts produce poisons in their skin as a form of protection from predators. Some, like the rough-skinned newts, create enough tetrodotoxin to kill an adult human being, though these toxins are only really a problem if ingested and cannot be absorbed topically. Unluckily for some, certain snakes like garters have developed a resistance to the poison. For part of the year, newts live an aquatic life in stagnant ponds and other bodies of water, though some deviate and can live in slow rivers and streams. Most of the year, newts are terrestrial and spend most of their time foraging in the humid undergrowth, under rocks, logs, moss, leaf litter, and soft earth. Like frogs and other amphibians, newts undergo metamorphosis, starting their lives in water as an egg, then as a tadpole-like larva, though this is where it differs from frogs. These larvae grow their forelimbs first and then their hind.
I'm going to show you how I used my tablet to find the meaning of these words, using the online dictionary that we used in last week's lesson. You could also use a real dictionary if you wanted to. So if you look over here, you'll see the words that I found while we were watching the video. This is all technical vocabulary to do with newts that we saw in the video we just watched. You might have found some different words yourself, so if you're really keen to know the meaning of them, you can save them for later and try to find the meaning of them after this lesson. The words that I found are regenerative. This was the first one. Now this is quite a tricky word, and if you heard it in the video you might have really struggled to write this down. The best way to do this is to use your phonics and break it down into small, manageable chunks. So you would do this by going re, gen, a, t, iv. Regenerative. You can hear all the sounds and it makes it much easier then to have a go at spelling it. The next word that I found is species. I also found poisons, ingested, resistance, terrestrial, and metamorphosis. So I'm going to show you how I found the meaning of all of these words now. Regenerative. I'll be doing all my searches on the Kids Britannica Dictionary because this is a safe search engine. I'd like you to use the same one if you're using the online dictionary. I'm going to type the word in, regenerative. Press search, which is the blue button with the magnifying glass. This will take me to the search and I can find the word regenerative, and here's the definition. I can click on articles to find out a bit more information about it. Then I can click on anything in bold and find out a bit more information about that. Let's click on growth as repair and find out a bit more information about that. This takes me to an article all about growth as repair, so I could find out even more about this if I was interested. So I found my definition and now I've written it down. Regenerative means that some cells divide to repair lost or damaged parts. This is called regeneration. Species. So I'm typing the word species into the search bar and seeing what comes up. I have a look and see which option I think is most appropriate. So again, I found my definition and now I've written it down. A species means a class of the same kind of thing with the same name. Poison. So I search poisons in the search bar exactly like I did last time. Here it comes up with all the results. Poison is a substance that by its chemical action can kill or injure a living thing. Ingested. So I type the word ingested into the search bar and click search. Unfortunately, this definition wasn't very clear. It talked about digestion, but if you weren't sure about what that meant, you might need to do a further search to understand this. So I searched for another keyword that was in the definition, digestion, to see if that would help me understand. Ingested means eaten. Resistance. So I typed the word resistance into the search bar again, just as we've done for the past few times. Here's my definition. Resistance means to fight against and withstand the effect of something. Terrestrial. So again, I'm going to type the word into the search bar. Terrestrial is something that lives on land. Metamorphosis. So I'm going to type this word into the search bar. As long as you use your phonics, the computer should recognise if you've made any spelling mistakes, so you should be okay. So this is the process of a basic and usually quite sudden change in the form and habits of some animals during their transformation from an immature stage, so as a tadpole or a caterpillar, to an adult stage, to say a frog and a butterfly. We're going to have a little quiz now to see how well you remembered this. So just get a pen and some paper and get ready to jot down your answers. The first word I want to see how well you've remembered is the word regenerative. Have a look at these options below and see which one you think it is. Did it mean that some cells... Regenerative means that some cells divide to repair lost or damaged parts. Well done if you got that one right. Okay, the next one. Terrestrial. Does it mean to fight against and withstand the effect of something? I don't know why that says washstand. That's a spelling mistake. It should say withstand. Or this one, lives on land. Terrestrial means it lives on the land. So well done if you got that right. The next technical word we're going to look at is this one. It's quite a tricky one. Metamorphosis. Metamorphosis. Does this mean it's eaten, or is it the process of change in the form of some animals during transformation from an immature stage to an adult stage? Choose your answer, pause, write it down and then check when you're ready. Metamorphosis is the process of change in the form or habits of some animals from the immature stage to the adult stage. So well done to you if you got that one right. We're going to move on to the independent task for this lesson now. I want you to read the text in the next slide. Note down any words that you're unsure of. I've also highlighted a few words myself. I'd like you to use the Children's Online Dictionary as we used in this lesson, or use a standard dictionary at home to find the meaning of the words that I've highlighted, and any others that you would like to find out for yourself. Here's the text that I found, and it's about the egg stage of a newt. Newt eggs are encased in a gel-like substance rather than a hard shell. So the first word I've highlighted here is encased. Encased. Can you try and find the meaning of that word? Adult females release eggs one at a time and store them in clusters ranging from a handful to several dozen in size. The next word I'd like you to find the meaning of is clusters. Adults often take an active role in defending their eggs after depositing them. The next two words are defending and depositing. Mothers may curl their body around the eggs to provide protection. Some newt species even wrap leaves around each egg individually to camouflage them. Can you find out the meaning of the word camouflage? Newt eggs are small. Some measure only 1 millimetre or 2 in diameter. Can you find out the meaning of the word diameter? This word diameter actually comes up in a later lesson in English this week when we're going to be making a life cycle wheel, so it would be really useful if you can find the meaning of this word now. The mum usually anchors her eggs to underwater plants and other structures to keep them safe. Can you find out the meaning of the word anchors? So I've made a little sheet here just to show you how I'd like you to set your work out. It's got the date at the top and then the first word, encased, and I've shown just how you could write that definition underneath. Encased means closed in. The eggs are closed inside a gel-like substance, so I put it in context of what the word means, to do with the text that we've just read about. The rest of the words are down here for you to look at, so you can see we've got encased, clusters, defending, depositing, camouflage, diameter and anchors, but feel free to research any of the other words that you are curious about from either the videos or the text that we've just read. Here is the text that you need to read, and here are the words that you need to find. They're also highlighted in yellow here for you to see, and just shown here how you might like to set it out to make it nice and neat. If there are any other words in here that you want to research, you can also try and find the definition for those as well.